All right, hello again, everybody. Hopefully, you all had time to watch the Fulani Beauty Pageant. And the purpose of watching this film is to show you that it's not just that there is cultural variability about other genders or third genders, but there's also a lot of cultural variability about just the gender roles that men and women are supposed to take. In that society, you see that men take on a lot of the characteristics that we might associate with women. Men are supposed to be the ones that look after their bodies and take care of themselves and try to attract women in these beauty pageants, and it's women who are the ones that are supposed to lust after the men and are supposed to be the sexual aggressors. So now, I should have told you in the last video, but now I'd like you to pause this video again briefly in order to read the document about the Sambia. Now let me exit out of this so I can show you what I'm talking about. And my computer is going to lag, but that's all right. So if we go into content, and I want you to read the Sambia male initiation rituals, please, and then come back and restart this video here. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to do that. So now you know a little bit about the Sambia people. They are a people that are located in Papua New Guinea. This research was done in the 1970s, so quite a bit has changed in Papua New Guinea with the Sambia today. But they are still located here in Papua New Guinea, which is just off the coast of Australia. It's this very, very dense area where it's hard to move around. So there's these very isolated groups of people that are totally unaware or were totally unaware of the outside world up until the 1940s. They thought that Papua New Guinea was the entire world and had never left or seen other places. But it's very very mountainous there. So there's hundreds and thousands of languages, distinct languages, all across Papua New Guinea, because even though it's a small island, people cannot traverse the island very easily. So in these different pockets, there's different villages that have very diverse cultures from each other because they're not really intermixing all that well. It's kind of an interesting place to study for an anthropologist. So they're very warlike. We're going to be talking about Papua New Guinea, not the Sambia in particular, but other groups of people from Papua New Guinea quite a bit because it's such an interesting microcosm and has so much cultural variation within it. But they are very warlike. There's constantly warfare and fighting going on between all of the people or all of the different groups. And men are very much warriors. Their role, their masculine role, not unlike it was in the United States very long ago, was of warrior, tribal leaders in charge of politics and decisions, hunters and guardians of their ancestry, culture, traditions, beliefs. Very, this kind of hyper masculinity that we can recognize in our own culture to some extent. And the men are also in charge of these initiation rituals. So as you read in the brief little packet there, semen is important. It has a special magical power, and it is what turns boys into men. And so, women's sexual essence is seen as to be their menstrual blood, their menstrual fluid, and is something to be feared. So women have to go out to these menstrual huts in order during their menses, and they have to stay very far away from men because they are polluting. And female sex organs are also considered polluting. So if you're having sex with your wife, you need to also make time to be away from her to regain your own sexual strength. And younger men can die from sexual intercourse with women if they are not properly prepared. That means ingesting semen. So the purpose of the initiation rite, and we're going to talk about rituals of initiation a little bit more later. But for now, just focus on what it means to be a man. So the purpose of the initiation rituals is to transform boys who are considered feminine because they grew up with their mothers and live with their mothers, to become men and to escape that polluting place of women. So at age 7 to 10, the boys leave the mother's home and go to live with other boys in a big house, and they take up residence with older male who sort of is like their Padawan. So, the stage one, they induct into the men's cult, and the boys are ritually nose bled. They have these very, very sharp sticks that they go in out of the male's nose to make it bleed, and it's thought that that is like menstrual blood. It's getting the polluting female out of the boy's body so that they are ready to ingest semen and become men. If they try to run away and try to escape these male initiation rituals, then they are kind of shunned and thought of for the rest of their life. They're shunned and thought of more or less as boys or women. So, in order to become strong men, they must eat the penis. That means they go out into the forest with their older boys, who are usually in their 20s or so, early 20s, and are not or who have recently become men, recently passed this ritual, and they do fellatio in order to ingest semen. And then they come back and they enter the world as full men. Okay, so speaking, there's a lot of stuff we can discuss with this. There's enculturation for a lot of students. I right now is when I would have a discussion in class about your initial reaction to these initiation rites. Actually, you know what? Before we go on now, I'd like you to go ahead and pause again. I'd like you to go ahead and pause again and go back to here and take a look at the Sambia male initiation ritual video. You'll get a little bit of, it's an older video, so it's a little bit grainy, but you'll get a little bit of a visual of what these male initiation rituals look like. Okay, so hopefully you paused this video and went back and watched that brief YouTube video that's been embedded. You got a little bit of a taste for what that looks like. And what was my point? What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, my initial reactions by students are, "Oh, this is barbaric, and I can't believe that we do that to that they would do that to their boys." And even though it's this crazy thing, I can't believe that that's legal, and that's kind of the reaction that I get from a lot of students. And it is kind of barbaric, and this way that they initiate boys into manhood, right? Um, Yeah. So and also I like to point out the way that their construction of manhood is pretty different than ours. So now I'd like you to, I'm going to stop this video because I'd like you to watch the first, um, excuse me, I'm sneezing and coughing. I probably do have COVID, but I'm actually feeling better today. Don't worry about me. I'm feeling okay. But I'd like you to stop this video. I'm going to stop this video. And I'd like you to go ahead and watch the first about 10 minutes of The Mask You Live In. It's a feature-length documentary that was actually, excuse me, feature-length documentary that's about masculinity in the United States and how men are initiated into American masculinity and how boys in the United States become men and how they are required to act. If you want to see the whole thing, I believe the whole thing is on Netflix. There is also a brief film about sworn virgins, which I've uploaded. I think I've uploaded. You don't have to watch that, but it's a very interesting case of in Albania, which is a rural part of Eastern Europe, where women, they have another gender called sworn virgins, where women, for certain economic reasons, can turn into men, can socially become men. That doesn't mean that sexually they're not still women. They swear off sex and don't have sex with men, but they don't have sex with women either. But their gender changes from that of female to male. Okay, that's a cultural construction.